Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SANTEFIRE Motoring, where for the first time ever, we have an all-electric car. And I can't believe I'm saying this, we have our third Porsche this year. If you've been watching and subscribing, liking, commenting and sharing, we appreciate you so much. This is SANTEFIRE Motoring, my name is Bongani, that's a Gautrain. We paid him to show up as I was doing the intro, and this is the Porsche Taycan 4S. When Porsche first announced the Taycan, there was a lot of criticism from people who considered themselves hardcore petrol heads. And I must admit, I was one of the people who weren't too sure about where exactly this car fit in. You see, Porsche is notorious for their racing pedigree and their performance cars. So for them to come out with an all-electric vehicle and claim it can drive close to a 911, because I think there's no way you can actually replicate a 911 without being a 911, I was like, yeah, but no, not really, right? And Porsche did what Porsche does. They silenced the haters, not through their words, not through their marketing, but through their actual actions. You see, the Taycan 4S behind me is the mid-range Taycan. It does 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds, which is impressive. It has 440 kilowatts and up to 710 Newton meters of torque. That's a lot of bang. And well, it's the kind of numbers you get when you have an electric car. Not only did they do that, they took it one step further by giving it some really functional aero. Have a look at this front bumper over here, for example. I can actually stick my hand in because air is channeled from the front across the side of the front wheels, which, by the way, are plated for aerodynamics purposes. The air then gets channeled out of here from the wheel wells and it moves all across the side of the car, up over here and across the rear haunches of the vehicle. You see, it's designed to cut through air, which is something you'll appreciate in an electric vehicle. Range matters. Speaking of range, a full charge on this 105 kilowatt hour battery will get you around 500 kilometers in the real world, from what I've seen at least. And in order to charge it up using Eskom at home, it'll charge you around 2 Rand per kilowatt hour. So you're looking at 210 Rand for a full charge. For 440 kilowatts, that's a good bargain. Now, the rear end of the Taycan has to be one of my favorite parts about this car. And there's small things that I absolutely fell in love with. And you might think I'm a nerd for this, but I just want you to look at this. Look at where the rear bumper meets the rear quarter panel and this gap that it creates and how the light bar just squeezes itself all the way so deep into there. It's one of the most beautiful features of any car that I've ever seen. And obviously, because it's a modern Porsche, you get the same light bar that we saw on Cayenne, you get the same light bar that we saw on 911, the same light bar you see on Panamera as well. Now, you'll also notice that this car has a wing. It's currently in its seated position. Once you start accelerating, especially in Sports Plus, and you're doing some hard acceleration like launch control, it sticks out for you, giving you that extra support over the rear end of the vehicle. It says Taycan 4S over at the back, but I like that Porsche will give you the option to debadge this should you want to. But I mean, we all know it's a Taycan. In order to open the rear boot, you just press this button over here. They didn't try to integrate it into sort of the boot section itself. They just put a button there and they said, this is what you're gonna get. Very simple. Like I said, this is your second boot. This is where you fit your suitcases, your golf clubs and that sort of stuff. It has significantly more space than the one that I showed you over in the front. And if I open this section over here, you'll see that this is where you store your charging cable. So I'm just gonna pop this back here for a second, drop this, and then move down here for a sec. Notice that over here you get the same black plastic composites that you saw over in the front of the car. And it does give the car a futuristic look with these horizontal slats and that sort of stuff. And I don't know if Keith will be able to check the bottom of the car, but things are flat down there. And that's just to improve airflow and the fact that there's no exhaust components or anything causing turbulence. You just have a flat battery. The Taycan also has some very cool convenience features. For example, if I approach the car and the keys are on me, you'll see the wing mirrors unfold and the door handles pop out. Something that I really appreciate. And I mean, considering the fact that it has a 3.4-ish million Rand price tag, that's a very nice thing to have. You've also got frameless window. And that just speaks to the fact that this is a sports car at the end of the day. Not only does the driver's side get frameless windows, but so do your rear passengers as well. A very nice touch, a very stylish one, if I might add that. In fact, we're not going to start this interior shot from the front. We're actually going to start it from the back. If you remember, 911 was very difficult to get into. That's because it's the quintessential sports car. This is the more practical, electric, comfortable sports car. What they've done is they've actually dug a well in the rear passenger footwell to make it easier to sit in. And as you can tell, things are very comfortable back here. I've got a 2+2 configuration. You can fit a fifth person back here, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think 4 people is the best number. I've got 2 cup holders in the center armrest, and I mean, I'm seated very nicely. You sit quite low, which is good if you're tall. I had a passenger in here, and he's like 1.8 meters tall, and he was comfortably seated. As you can see, I've got some headroom. Above me is a moonroof. It's fixed. It doesn't open, but it runs along the entirety of the roof, from the front to the back, and it does a great job of adding some air into this cabin space. I've also got quad zone climate control. Over here, I can just control what it is I want to do, and it's as simple as that. Let's head over to the front. Now, the interior of the Taycan is where this car well and truly shines. No pun intended, considering the fact that it's silver and it does shine in the sun. No, the interior of this car, you get the sense that luxury and comfort were at the core, rather the pillars of their design philosophy here. Ergonomics, not so much, but luxury and comfort, definitely. And the reason why I say ergonomics not so much is so that I can basically just bring up this one point that I'm not too happy about in the Taycan. And it's actually my only gripe, literally my only problem with the car, is the fact that unlike the Cayenne and unlike the 911, you don't have a dedicated set of buttons for your climate control. Instead, you get a screen. And I've said this in other videos before, you know, we're in this digital renaissance and everything is digital, but some things don't need to be reinvented. In order to adjust my fan speed, I have to push a button over here, and it is a digital button. Now you can get some glare and fingerprint smudges on the screen. I can live with that. What I can't live with, which is, you know, really, I'm not too sure why they chose to do this, is the fact that in order to choose the direction of my air, I have to adjust it over here using this. I've never seen anything like this before. And sometimes, you know, it's quite difficult to gauge where your face is. Instead of just having a simple fan, you can point at your face. But what's cool is that as you start driving, it sort of finds you and the air eventually makes its way to your face. It takes about 2 minutes for it to acclimatize and start pointing it at you automatically. I just don't know why they chose to do this to begin with. What's really cool though is that you have an air quality view. It tells you what the particulate filters are doing, the quality of the low outside and inside, and you also have an ionizer. Porsche people breathe better air than you. Peasants. Right. With that said, I have the same infotainment screen that I had in the 911. It's quite literally, the functionality is like identical, which is something that Porsche chose to do because, well, if you're buying a Porsche, it's unlikely that you're buying just one. So if you get out of your 911 and you get into Taycan and then you get into Cayenne, the experience should be the same. Vis-a-vis the steering wheel over here, it's identical to the other ones you've seen before. I have a drive mode selector, and in this car there are 4 settings. I have range, normal, sports, and sports plus. And then over here I have my physical buttons to control some of the settings that I have on the screen over here. This is my volume rocker. This is my cruise control functionality, my lights, and this is for my windscreen wipers. I get 2 cup holders, one in the center over here and another one over here. You also get a glove compartment, which is quite tiny. It's not really the biggest one there, but you do get fast wireless charging, and that pretty much sums it up. The seats are very comfortable. Not only are they comfortable, they're super supportive too, which is something they should be, considering the fact that every time you launch this car or you remotely touch the accelerator, your brain will kiss the back of your skull. It's so quick, it's so fast. You need the kind of seats that support you. They are heated too, they're not ventilated, but you can get that as an option. One of my favorite features would have to be the fact that you do get the Porsche crest embossed on the headrest over there, which is a very, very nice thing to have. That's a 6,000 Rand option. 6,000 Rand to get the Porsche crest embossed. But for 3.3 million Rand car, is that a lot of money? I don't think so. I think we should go for a drive. One thing I'll never get tired of when driving electric cars is the fact that the acceleration is instantaneous. It gives me neck aches how hard it pushes me back. Now, all that power is useless if you can't put it down. This Porsche Taycan 4S drives on Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. Very, very capable rubber for what it is I'm about to do. Hard on the brake and Sports Plus accelerate. Oh my goodness. It is so quick. Oh my, I'll never get tired of that, right? So I'm gonna put the Taycan in its most efficient setting. That is the range setting, just so we can talk about what the driving experience of this car is like. I really can't fault it, to be honest with you. Now, one cool thing about electric cars is that they don't have an engine. Duh. But because they don't have an engine, there are no vibrations that make their way into the cabin. And if you couple that with the fact that the interior space of the Porsche Taycan has been so well insulated, it almost feels like I'm cocooned in my own little pocket of luxury. That's what the driving experience of this car is like. The steering, very easy. Doesn't take itself too seriously. It drives nice and low. It feels like a sports car. But because it's a Porsche, it's a very drivable sports car. Go look at my video on the Porsche 911, where I expand on this a little bit and what driving a Porsche feels like generally. But this, very comfortable. I think this is the one to get when you have your kids and you want to go quick, but it's not just about speed, it's about comfort as well. You have all the Porsche goodies that are nice to have, like a 360-degree camera, you've got adaptive cruise control, parking sensors, all the stuff you would expect in a 3.3 million rand car. It rides on air suspension. It wafts over the road. It's so cool. And one really nice party piece it has is that when you move into Sports Plus, it drops the suspension and you can actually feel it lowering, getting ready so that it can just rocket you into the future. That's what it feels like. That's how quick it is. Up front, I've got a curved instrument cluster, similar to what I had in the Cayenne. It's got multiple views. I can view the full map should I want to. And if I don't, I can have some dials ahead of me. It gives me all the critical information that I would like. Over on the right, I've got more LED icons about my traction, my suspension, ride height, and that sort of stuff. It's a very easy car to drive, and that's something that just keeps reiterating as I get into this car. You'll also find that people treat you differently when you drive around in a Porsche. It's the most fascinating thing. Even the Hilux gang starts to slow down and make way for you whenever you're driving around. Those taxis that are usually a menace and a nuisance, well, not anymore. It's something that just tends to push away the nonsense, get stop nonsense of a car, if you will. Currently, I've got it in its range driving setting. And essentially, that's kind of like giving the car ADHD medication. It dumbs it down a bit. It sort of mutes what the car can do. It's not as responsive, although if I put my foot down, you still get up and go, because remember, there's no engine that needs to rev up. There are no turbos that need to spool up. So even in its dullest setting, it's still very responsive, quicker than most cars on the road. And that's something you need to take into consideration. And it hit me the first time I drove this car that, you know what, now I'm able to predict where I'll end up in the next 2 seconds or so. But the car ahead of me might not be able to do so, especially since I don't have a loud V8 or V6 or any exhaust noise for that matter. So they'll see me in the rearview mirror, and then they'll expect to see me again in like another 5 seconds, but I'm here in half the time because of how quickly this car covers ground. That's something to keep in mind. If I move from range to normal, it's a bit less subdued. You still get the responsiveness. Oh my word, it's so quick. You still get the responsiveness as you put your foot down. And what normal does compared to range is that it reduces the amount of regenerative braking that you get. So in range, as soon as you let off the accelerator, you can feel it slowing down ever so slightly. And it uses that regenerative braking to charge up the battery. And then in turn, it gives you more range. So it slows the car down, uses that stopping force, and then it charges up the battery and it gives you more range so you can go further. That's how it extends the range. In normal mode, it does slightly less. Once we move to sport, now things start to change up a bit. The suspension then switches into sport. The steering wheel feels the same, But one really cool thing is that you have this setting over here. The actual wording for it is electric sports sound. It sounds like they've taken bees and they've put them in a jar and shaken them up. It's this woo, 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 woo kind of sound. I don't know how to explain it. We'll get that on video so that you hear it too. And this car sounds like a spaceship, and it helps that it moves like a spaceship, and people treat it like one too. Not that they don't have a choice, you know. I mean, listen, I put my foot down and I'm gone. You'll decide what this car was long after I've passed you. But that's really cool, man. It feels like I'm driving something from the future, but it oddly feels quite familiar. It feels like I'm in 911 in a way. It's bigger, it's more comfortable. But the technology feels the same. The ride is just as, no, it's actually more comfortable than 911 actually. And then once I get into Sports Plus, then we start getting into the real beans. That's when you start getting all 440 kilowatts and 710 Newton meters of torque. It's a very nice car to be in. I really, really love this car. So what I'm gonna do now, I'll come to a red light, is I'm gonna wait for all these cars to pass so that I can do one more launch before heading back to our shoot site. But overall, it's a very lovely place to sit. They've chosen all the right materials. I've got leather. I don't have any cheap plastics. It's just so nice. The build quality in a Porsche is always going to be incredible. It helps that I've also got memory function on my seats. All very nice things to have over here. I've also got some storage space under the central console display here. But I'm going to launch it one last time. Listen to that noise. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and so does this review. After living with the Porsche Taycan for some time, I get it. The future is electric, and if it drives anything like this, I'm excited for it. Now, if you're looking for a Porsche Taycan yourself, you can go check one out at changecars.co.za. Essentially, they are a marketplace that sources dealers from all over the country, which are individually vetted, by the way, so you can trust everything you see on there. They also have a feature called Beat My Quote. If you get a quotation for any new car outside of their dealer network, they can guarantee a better price. Go check it out. But as far as this Porsche Taycan is concerned, I'm impressed. I'm looking forward to my next electric car, but I doubt it'll be as good as this. The refinement, the performance, the Porsche pedigree, just the driving experience as a whole is unlike anything I've been in. To Porsche South Africa, I'm eternally grateful for getting the opportunity to get behind the wheel of this nearly 3.5 million rand car. It's insane. And to think that the Taycan Turbo GT goes all the way up to nearly 6 million rand, I need money for Porsche, that's all I can say. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. My name is Bongani, and this is SANTEFIRE Motoring.